Hey there, everybody. My name is Bob Cheslinski, and welcome to another beginner band review. So I'm going to be taking another song today. Today I'm going to be taking Bringer of War by Brian Balmages. And as you can see, this is the FJH Music Company. So we're going to take a look at this, and I'm going to kind of run through the parts, and hopefully this is very helpful to you, and maybe you'll even want to play this. Make sure to like and share this video with your friends and subscribe to my channel so that you can see future videos and episodes of everything that I'm doing. I hope you're enjoying the content. Let's get right to this review. So right now, let's start out by looking at the flute part. I like to look at the flute part just to kind of see what kind of things they're doing, how high they're playing. The really nice thing about this song, Bringer of War, is this is capturing the style and the essence of Gustav Holst's Mars, the Bringer of War, which is one of my favorite pieces, and I'm sure you've heard it and you enjoy it also. It's just such a strong, captivating piece, and Brian really gets the essence of that piece in his Bringer of War without it being too hard, because you know that Mars, the Bringer of War is in 5/4 time signature. So this one's not. It's in 4/4, and it's in the home key. So this makes it very doable for beginner bands. It is kind of fast, 144. But you can see a lot of what's going on in here is pretty easy. Flutes are learning how to do a second time only, where they're counting the rests, and then as they come back after the repeat, they're going to play. So that's kind of nice. That's different, and that sets them up for a lot of future things going on in their music. You won't have to teach that. You're already going to teach it at an early age. They're working on lots of dynamic changes, from very, very soft piano, a 2 out of 10, 10 being the loudest, 1 being the softest, crescendos and decrescendos. This first and second ending. So they have to know where they're repeating back to and how the first and second endings operate. I think it's kind of nice that they have an 8-beat crescendo here. So they're learning how to take their time and bring up the dynamic level. This pattern that we're used to hearing in Mars, the Bringer of War, kind of shows up throughout all the sections in the band, not just the percussion section or just one particular section like the clarinets. So that's kind of nice. And then when we get to 25, they have a little bit of melody, and it moves stepwise, so that makes it pretty easy. And you can see, as far as all the notes, most of the notes that are in here are common basic notes that they should know, and we're not doing anything kind of weird. There's no accidentals. And the flutes do have this little part right here, which is this little repeated 2-note pattern mostly, and then at the end it goes up 1 more note. And they're doing a crescendo there, back to that rhythmic pattern that Mars, the Bringer of War, is very famous for. And then they have a molto ritardando al fine at the end with these accents. And this ending does capture pretty well what's going on in Mars, the Bringer of War, that big, bold ending. So Brian did a great job with that. Okay, so I always like to look at the clarinet part. That way I know what the clarinets have to deal with. I'm a clarinet player myself, and I know going over the break can be an issue for younger students. Not for everyone, but probably the majority. So I like to make sure of the range of the clarinet section. So as I'm looking through, and you're looking through here, you can see a lot of stuff's repeated again. So we have that rhythmic pattern that's very famous for Mars, the Bringer of War. So the clarinets get to do it too. And they're also doing the first and second ending with the repeat sign. And as we make our way down through, we're seeing that, you know, clarinets are going down to C and up to A. So we're dealing with 6 notes in this piece. And there's just some counting parts here at 25. I feel like sometimes at this age, they'll rush whole notes or rush half notes. Sometimes they'll play quarter notes like eighth notes. So this is a really good part for them to really work on their counting skills. And they've got dynamic changes. And I think this is just outstanding that Brian's having them do this. And there's other sections in the band that are doing this too. There's 4 measures, and they're doing that rhythmic section. And they have to take 15 beats to go from soft, about a 2 out of 10, up to about a 7 out of 10 with the forte. And the forte comes on beat 16. That's kind of hard for kids at this age who haven't been playing for very long to just slowly, gradually over these 4 measures get just a little louder each time and go from about a 2 piano to a 7 forte. That's nice. I think the earlier you can get kids to work on things like that, the more you're setting yourself up for success later on in band. And then they've got this big ending, and there's nothing really that major in this song for them. So this is a really nice piece for them. Let's go over and take a look at the saxes. All right, so we're looking at the alto saxophone part, and I like to look at the saxophone part because a lot of times new things are going to show up in their part. I like what's going on here at the beginning. They have that rhythmic part, and it's at a piano. Saxophones at this age it's such a powerful instrument. They can just let the sound get out of control so fast. So this is really nice. They have to work on playing that piano, and sometimes they're not used to that. So that's a really nice thing. They also have the first and second endings and the repeat signs. They play a lot more of this rhythmic pattern than the flute and the clarinet do, and I would expect that. And at 25, they have that counting pattern also with the long notes. So, and that continues in 33. So that's going to be very beneficial to them with their counting skills. And that's going to make things a little difficult for them too at times, especially when they hear the percussion playing that rhythmic part while they're trying to count this. So that'll be nice for them. Lots of good learning in this piece for the saxophones. Brian did a great job in this piece of giving all of the sections things to do together. So we've got unison things, and then nice easy parts where they're playing separately. So I think that's nice, and that kind of adds to the overall sound of the piece. It sounds harder than it actually is to play. So we're taking a look at the trumpet part. I like to look at their part. They're usually pretty similar to the clarinet, but sometimes different things can show up. So it's a good idea just to take a look at their part too. They're kind of doing what the flutes are doing at the beginning with that eerie, creepy Mars, the bringer of war kind of sound. And they're working on their first and second endings and repeat signs too. And they actually get to play that rhythmic pattern also, just like the other sections. And then opportunities to count their long notes. And I'm not seeing anything very high here in their part either. They have that 4-measure pattern where they're working on their dynamic level. And they're also learning something new right here. They have divisi, and divisi is that divided part. So it can be kind of confusing for them, and sometimes they'll say, I can't see what the notes are, and it's an opportunity for you to explain to them how this actually works. So that's kind of nice too. And there's not very much of it, so that's nice. Just enough for them to learn something new, and then the big ending with everybody else. Let's go to the trombone part. So I like to take a look at the low brass parts because there's a lot of times where they could be playing something totally different. And I like to see how difficult those patterns might be for them. The more repetition for them, I think, the better. So in this, they actually get to do a little bit of that creepy melodic part at the beginning that sets this piece up. So that's kind of nice. They're doing something different. It's not just some kind of rhythmic pattern or bass line. It's an integral part of this piece. And then they start to do some some other rhythmic things, especially as they get down to 25. So they're doing some normal things for the low brass here. They're doing that rhythmic pattern. And then they do have a lot of repetitive things. So it's not too difficult for them to get. I mean, we're talking about a 3-note pattern here. Just some counting things that they might have to deal with, half notes and whole notes, against what everyone else is doing in the band. They do have a very unique part here. So some counting. And I don't think the part is too difficult. They just need to make sure the counting is correct. And really we're dealing with E flats and Ds, and then tighten their lips up here in this measure for 4th position G. So that's not too bad. And then the rest of this is very similar to what the other groups in the band are doing. Let's take a look at what's going on with the percussion. So we've got a percussion 1 and a percussion 2 and timpani, and of course we have a bell part in here too. I want to check out the percussion 1 part because I want to see how difficult the parts are for the snare drummers and the bass drummers to play. And I can kind of see that the snares are doing that rhythmic pattern that's very famous for Mars, the Bringer of War. And the bass part isn't too bad. So it's a lot of repetitive parts here for them. So that shouldn't be too bad. They're working on their dynamics, which is great at this level. They need to work on those too. It's important that they can play all dynamic levels, just like everyone else in the band. Something kind of unique with this Mars, the Bringer of War. I know this piece because we played this last year. We were selected as the group to represent Pennsylvania at the Pennsylvania Music Educators Association Conference in Pittsburgh. And we had a concert and we played this, and it was really cool to play this. And right down the road on Route 28 is a school district called Fox Chapel. And this piece was actually commissioned for them. And it was really cool to play this piece. That convention was also in association with the NAFME All Eastern Convention. So it was really great to have an opportunity to play a piece by Brian, and it was actually commissioned for a school that was right down the road. But I like to check out these percussion parts, and they're very doable. There's opportunities for them to have the snares on and the snares off. And then they're playing a lot of things at the end here that the rest of the band was doing. So it's not that bad with the percussion 1 part. And in the percussion 2 part, we've got toms, crash cymbal, and tam-tam. And I think it's really nice that they add the tam-tam in here. The kids get very excited about playing unique instruments like that. And then the tom part pretty much emulates what's going on in the snare part. So it's not too bad. And we do have some crash cymbals here. Just kind of adds to the overall piece. And a different technique here, the muffle on the rests. So that's kind of a unique thing that the kids are going to have to learn. It's a learning opportunity for them. As you look down the piece, really not that bad. Overall, it's a really, really cool piece. I'm going to be doing a second video, and that second video will be a companion to this so that there's no talking by me. It's just you listening to the piece of music, and you already have all this information in your hands. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe and share with your friends. And let me know in the comments below what you liked about this review or didn't like, or just add any comments. And if there's a piece you'd like me to review, make sure you put that in the comments, and I'll be sure to get to that. Thanks again for watching. I appreciate your time, and I hope you're enjoying this content. We'll see you in the next video.